Good morning, Lake Braddock. Today is Thursday, May 26th, and it is a gold even day.
Welcome to the Morning Brew's last news show. Today we will be covering a variety of stories from Science Olympiad's journey to nationals to a wrap-up of spring sports.
Let's get the news brewing.
With tears, screaming from my eyes. See your mother raise the fireman, and I know I missed so much of your life.
First, let's pause for a moment of silence.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Last year, the sports seasons were different and shorter, meaning teams got less time to bond with each other. This year, Bruin sports were back for a full-length season, and we looked into how this brought teams together.
With the first full-length spring sports season in 2 years, teams are closer than ever. Through pre-game rituals, team dinners, and practices, Lake Braddock sports have become closer, not only outside the field, but also on the field.
So this season, I think, has been definitely our most successful season. We finished districts with 9-4, so 9 wins and 4 losses, and we're going into the district tournament being second seed.
I think our team did really well this year. Currently, we are 12-2, and we're starting the postseason next week, so we're really on a high note going into that. So I think we did pretty well this season. We're also practicing more times a week since we're able to get out on the field more. So I think it's definitely coming out of COVID. It's definitely helped. It's allowed us to practice even more.
We had a shortened season last year, so it was only like a month or so, but we didn't have too many practices because it was almost all games.
I think we've grown a lot this season. I think we have worked a lot on staying positive and just bonding as a team, with seniors and freshmen or juniors and freshmen or whatever the circumstances. We've just gotten really close, which I think is really important as a team.
I would say we've just as the season's gone on, we've started to hang out more outside of baseball and just kind of get to know each other outside of the field, outside of practice. So I think that little things outside of practice that have just kind of helped us get to know each other better has helped us grow.
I think one big way that our team has grown is just the togetherness of the team. It's become more like a family throughout the year, and I feel that's really helped us in all our games and all of our practices, just being able to work together as one unit.
I think, again, this year being our best year, I also think it's the best year we've come as a team. I think our chemistry has been super good, spot on since the first game. Even our coaches have said this is the best they've ever seen us chemistry-wise this year.
A few times we've been out to dinner together. We just really, all of our personalities just fit together really well, and everybody just has a great time together on and off the field. So I just think it was really natural for us to just be one unit.
Our team has grown a lot in maturity and in playing skills, and overall we've just really bonded together as a team, and we have a really great group of girls, and we all really like hanging out together.
This has been Caitlin Halloran, Yasmin Tanyu, Ismail Ali, and Grace Hepperer with the Morning Brew.
As Lake Braddock spring sports come to a wrap, athletic teams aren't the only one finding success. The Lake Braddock Science Olympiad team has recently won the state championship and advanced to finals. Let's see how they did it and prepared for nationals.
The Science Olympiad competition was an event in which students on dedicated teams from Lake Braddock and other nearby schools competed in a variety of different STEM topics. We asked the members of the team what it was like to win states and advance to the finals.
Winning states was really, really cool. When we were at the awards ceremony in the room, the entire team just saw that Thomas Jefferson was called a second, and we all started freaking out because we knew that meant we were first, and then they called us as first. But at that point, it didn't even matter because we knew, and everyone was just exploding and screaming, and it was just like the most awesome experience you can imagine.
It's a pretty great feeling, especially in my last year of coaching, to be able to end it on a high note with winning state and going to nationals. It's something that our team has been working toward for a long time, the past couple of years. It's been a goal of ours to break the top 3 in the state.
So I've worked on several projects. One example of that, for instance, is a Wi-Fi antenna that my partner Steve and I have been building for several months now. We've developed many iterations that have involved several changes and design improvements that has been over the course of several months now. But there are other similar projects that I've had in other events.
I did It's About Time, which is like building a clock and then doing physics type stuff. I did experimental design and data analysis, which is like statistics and then making an experiment and doing it. And what's the last one? Chem lab, which is just chem lab, chemistry, that stuff.
So to prepare for nationals, our team is continuing to practice multiple times a week. We're coming in early on days to work on our builds. For instance, I'm continuing development on the Wi-Fi antenna, on my model airplane for Right Stuff, and other various builds. So we're just making sure that we're all ready both on our build competitions and we're studied for the tests so that we can go and do our best at nationals.
Favorite part of coaching and being a part of Science Olympiad is getting to work with the different groups of students every year and get to know them and have fun with them through this process. So yes, we're a successful team, which is awesome, but we also just have fun together, and that's what science should be about.
The purpose of Science Olympiad, in my opinion, is mostly to provide an environment and a place where people who are really interested in science and want to fuel that into competition can come and thrive and have a ton of fun together, but also learn a lot more about subjects that we might not have had we just stayed in our classes, if that makes sense.
This has been the Morning Brew signing off.
Lake Braddock is going through the principal selection process yet again. We discussed with Mrs. Kearns what this process will look like and how long it may take.
Lake Braddock's principal, Daniel Smith, stepped down on April 15th. Ms. Kearns is now acting as principal until the new successor is found. But what goes into searching for a new principal at a school with over 4,000 kids? Join us as we dive into the process of finding out how Lake Braddock looks for their new principal.
The process allows for community feedback, which they're currently gathering right now. Faculty members are a part of the panel, which is actually the initial interview. Parents are also a part of that panel, and then central office are a part of that panel. That panel occurs near the end of May. So that's the initial kind of interview phase. So there's one other way that the school is kind of a part of the process. So typically, once the community panel meets, which is happening at the end of May, it can take a month to go through the rest of the process and have an announcement for the school community. So ideally, we would know something near the end of June, beginning of July. There are different parts of this process that may not happen quickly, and so the earliest we would know something is likely the end of June, and then depending on if they're able to find the right candidate, it may take longer than that. Ms. Gross and the region office actually came to Lake Braddock a few weeks ago and met with a cross-section of different student leaders. The principal's cabinet was a portion of the student voice that was represented there in that face-to-face meeting. We have posted a QR code to the student Schoology page where all students are able to actually provide input into what the next principal of Lake Braddock, what are the characteristics and qualities they want for that principal. So as you know, Dr. Brabrand is retiring at the end of this school year. I believe Dr. Reed's start date is sometime this summer, and that's our new superintendent. Depending on where we are in the process, if they're able to get through the entire process by the end of June, then Dr. Brabrand will be a part of that process. If that process is delayed then if the new superintendent is in place by that point, then they will be part of the decision-making factor.
This has been Guillermo Fajardo, Peter Benson, and Adam Hazara signing off with the Morning Brew.
You may have noticed one day the middle school locker bays were gone. What happened? The Morning Brew investigated how students feel and what will happen next.
You may have noticed that with the lockers gone, the bays are looking a bit more crowded during the passing periods. Let's see what our staff and students think.
My first impression was I was just kind of surprised. Like, I didn't really know why they did it. It was just kind of like a spur of the moment thing.
Specifically in like the L100s, there's like a lot of stuff going on, and I've seen people like run around and misbehave a lot. I don't know, I feel like it's gotten people to be a lot more wild sometimes, kind of lack of self-control.
I think it's fairly distracting to those who like to work in a more quiet environment. I think it's a little bit more difficult for those people.
Not having the lockers has affected my class because there is a congregation of people that are just here. And were it not for the fact that there are adults that are standing there, administrators, it can be a problem. I did have a fight basically like start in the doorway of my classroom. There's just a lot more movement here, and this is where I think it's better that the lockers are gone. With the lockers being gone, I kind of heard through the grapevine that it was happening. I wasn't necessarily approached about it, and then I didn't realize that there was a survey about the furniture until later, so I don't feel like we were specifically clued in that this was happening. I think having that space will benefit students if we teach them how to use it. We're going to have to make sure that kids know and respect the area, but I would love to be able to use that space, to be honest, even in my class, because it just gives us some flexibility.
Lake Braddock staff and students have differing opinions on the removal of the lockers, but with the addition of furniture in the near future, we're excited to see how the locker bays can be used. This has been Natalie Gillum, Luke Peter, and Olivia Evans with the Morning Brew.
This year was our first full in-person school year since the pandemic started. Students across the school reflected on what made this year stand out.
I describe this year as exhausting.
Fast.
Fun. Slow.
Heaven.
Crowded.
As we look over our year in review, here is what students at Lake Braddock have to say about the 2021-22 school year.
My favorite memory of the school year would be our last production, which was Anastasia. I had the opportunity to costume design, and I'm really passionate about sewing, and I was able to sew 6 dresses with the help of my crew in just 10 days. And it was a really big challenge, but I was really happy with how it turned out, and I'm just very proud of everyone.
I would say my favorite event would be homecoming in general, partly for the game and partly because I'm an SGA, so I help plan it.
I think my favorite memory in general is just when we finally came back as a whole school. It's almost like an everyday thing, and just being with the students, that environment of all being together. In the beginning of the year, it was just quieter and a little bit harder to get back into that routine, but over the course of the months, just seeing these relationships between my students and myself, just start to blossom. And so for me, it's not one particular moment, but just seeing this transformation over the course of the year.
My favorite school event this year was definitely the football games. I love being on the dance team and being able to do sidelines and cheer on for my school.
My one word would be refreshing.
Interesting.
Confusing.
Enjoyable.
Unique because it was a lot of fun, but it was also very challenging, and it was a brand new experience. You can't compare it to pre-COVID. It was just different. So it was very unique.
This has been Becca French, Grace Dickinson, and Michaela Brennan with the Morning Brew.
Thanks for tuning in to our news show. The news is over,
and our cups are empty.
See you next time on the Morning Brew.